'Tis time! Oh, Rennie! Emily!
How much do you really know about this cult classic? Stick around because here are 20 weird and surprising facts about Hocus Pocus that'll put a spell on you. Leonardo DiCaprio almost played Max Dennison, the teenage lead who lights the black flame candle. At the time, DiCaprio was a rising star, fresh off Growing Pains and on the verge of superstardom. Disney offered him the role, but he turned it down to star in What's Eating Gilbert Grape. That decision earned him critical acclaim, an Oscar nomination, and launched his career. Still, imagine Leo running around Salem, fighting witches, and flirting with Allison. It would have been a completely different movie. Instead, Omri Katz took the part and gave Max his laid-back 90s charm. One of the creepiest scenes in Hocus Pocus.
Listen to me! Kill him if you must! Just bring me that child, that Denny! And put some wiggle in it, you putrid, pestering soul! Don't double come along now!
Is when Billy Butcherson, Winifred's zombified ex-boyfriend, finally has his stitched mouth opened. Out fly a swarm of moths. Most audiences assumed this was movie magic, maybe some early CGI or puppetry. It was 100% real. Actor Doug Jones agreed to hold live moths in a specially rigged pocket inside his mouth. A protective barrier kept him safe, but the bugs were very much alive when released. That dedication created one of the film's most unforgettable visuals. Today, practical effects like that are rare, making this scene even more shocking. The script for Hocus Pocus was first written in the 1980s under the working title Disney's Halloween House. Originally, it was meant to be a much darker film, focusing less on comedy and more on horror. The witches were terrifying, the stakes were higher, and the movie leaned toward a PG-13 rating. But the script sat in development for nearly a decade. Disney executives weren't sure audiences wanted such a spooky kids movie, so it gathered dust until the early 90s. When Bette Midler showed interest, the project finally came alive but with a lighter, campier tone. It's shocking to realize that the Hocus Pocus we know today almost never happened. If you've ever noticed how cozy and chilly Hocus Pocus looks on screen, prepare for a shock. It was filmed in the middle of summer. The cast wore heavy costumes and jackets to sell the illusion of a crisp October night, but in reality they were sweating through 90-degree weather. Crew members even had to bring in ice packs and fans to keep actors cool between takes. Imagine pretending to shiver while melting under the hot sun. That's the magic of Hollywood. This little detail explains why some scenes show characters with slightly flushed faces or extra shine on their skin. The film looks like autumn, but behind the camera, it was pure summer torture for the actors. Sarah Jessica Parker, who played the ditzy but dangerous Sarah Sanderson, discovered years later that witchcraft runs in her family. While filming a genealogy show, she learned that one of her ancestors, Esther Elwell, was accused of witchcraft during the infamous Salem witch trials in the late 1600s. Esther managed to escape execution, but the mere accusation was enough to taint someone's reputation for life back then. The coincidence shocked Parker, who had no idea her own bloodline connected to the very history her character parodied. It's spooky enough to make you wonder if she was destined for the role. Playing a singing, spellcasting witch was more than acting. It was a strange brush with her own family's past. When Hocus Pocus premiered in July 1993, it was anything but the smash hit we think of today. Disney expected big numbers, but audiences barely showed up. The film grossed about $45 million worldwide against a production budget of $28 million. Once you factor in advertising and distribution costs, it didn't even break even. Critics didn't help either. Reviews slammed it for being corny, confusing, and even a cheap Halloween trick. But here's the twist. While the theater run fizzled, reruns on cable TV and later VHS sales resurrected the movie like a spell gone right. What started as a flop has become a Halloween tradition, proving that cult classics don't always need box office magic. The witches' flying scenes are iconic, especially Mary Sanderson zooming around on a vacuum cleaner. But did you know the original idea was even stranger? Early drafts of the script had Winifred on a broom, Sarah on a mop, and Mary on a vacuum. Disney eventually decided to make it a bit more streamlined, keeping only the vacuum gag. But imagine the sight of Sarah floating dramatically through the sky on a mop handle. The gag was meant to emphasize the sisters' incompetence, showing that they'd grab whatever they could find to take flight. While we didn't get the full broom mop vacuum lineup, the joke that survived is still one of the film's funniest and most shocking reveals. Imagine releasing a Christmas movie in May. That's basically what Disney did with Hocus Pocus. Instead of saving it for the Halloween season, they dropped it in July, smack in the middle of summer. Disney worried that a spooky family movie would get buried during the competitive fall box office, but the result was awkward. Nobody wanted to watch witches and pumpkins when it was 90 degrees outside. Families were at the beach, not the movies. This bizarre release strategy is one of the reasons the film initially failed. Ironically, now it's hard to imagine October without Hocus Pocus. Timing, as they say, is everything, and Disney learned that the hard way. Thackeray Binks, the cursed boy turned talking black cat, was played physically by actor Sean Murray, but when it came time to give the feline a voice, Disney thought Murray's natural tone didn't quite fit. Instead, they hired Jason Marsden, a seasoned voice actor known for A Goofy Movie and countless cartoons. Marsden gave Binks that timeless, slightly sarcastic charm that made audiences fall in love with him. Most shocking of all, Sean Murray didn't even know he'd been dubbed until after the movie was completed. 2 actors, 1 character, it's a perfect example of Hollywood smoke and mirrors. Fans often credit Murray for the whole role, but the voice that sticks in your head actually belongs to Marsden. Fans often assume the Sanderson sisters' creepy, candlelit cottage was a real preserved landmark in Salem. But the shocking truth? It never existed outside of the movie set. Disney built the entire cabin from scratch, inside and out, complete with bubbling cauldrons, dusty spellbooks, and crooked wooden beams. After filming wrapped, the set was dismantled, leaving no trace behind. Some fans actually went to Salem after the movie was released, hoping to tour the witch's lair, only to be disappointed. What makes this fact even crazier is how convincing it looked on screen. The level of detail tricked generations of viewers into believing the cottage was real history, when in fact it was pure Hollywood illusion. Here's a casting shocker. Kathy Najimy, who played the quirky and offbeat Mary Sanderson, originally wanted to play Winifred, the leader of the witches. Najimy admired Bette Midler and thought Winnie's role would be the most fun, but when the roles were finally cast, she landed as Mary instead. Rather than being disappointed, Najimy leaned into Mary's weird quirks, creating her signature crooked mouth, odd laugh, and puppy-like loyalty. In hindsight, it was the perfect fit. Her character balances out Winnie's power and Sarah's silliness with her own lovable strangeness. The shocking part is realizing the movie could have been very different if Najimy had been cast as Winnie, but luckily, things worked out exactly as they should. Thora Birch was just 10 years old when she played Danny Dennison, Max's spunky little sister. Despite her age, she delivered some of the sharpest, sassiest lines in the entire movie. Many critics pointed out that Birch often outacted her older co-stars, bringing heart and humor to scenes that could have easily been overshadowed by the flamboyant witches. What's shocking is how much responsibility she carried at such a young age. From emotional breakdowns to comedic timing, Birch proved herself a serious talent. Her performance remains one of the most beloved parts of the movie. For a kid barely out of elementary school, Danny wasn't just tagging along. She was the soul of Hocus Pocus. The black flame candle is arguably the most iconic prop in Hocus Pocus. But here's a shocking detail. The movie never explains how it's made or where it comes from. Its origin and magical properties are left mysterious and suspenseful. Fans have speculated for decades, creating their own theories and fan-made replicas. What's more, the candle became a real-life collectible and cultural phenomenon, with replicas selling out every Halloween. It's a testament to Disney's subtle genius that sometimes leaving a little mystery makes a prop far more powerful than explaining everything. It's hard to imagine now, but when Hocus Pocus was first released, critics absolutely tore it apart. Reviews from 1993 called it a piece of cheap holiday junk, pointless, and even a sugar rush without substance. Some critics claimed it was too scary for kids, while others complained it was too silly for adults, a movie that couldn't please anyone. The New York Times dismissed it entirely, and Roger Ebert gave it a brutal thumbs down. Shockingly, the movie many families now consider a Halloween tradition was once branded an embarrassment. Over time, audiences completely reversed that opinion, proving that critics don't always have the last word. Sometimes, it just takes a few decades for a spell to work. Bette Midler has played dozens of roles across her legendary career, from musicals to dramas, but she has admitted that her favorite role ever is Winifred Sanderson. That's right, out of all her awards and hit performances, it's the buck-toothed witch that she treasures most. Midler loved the costumes, the over-the-top acting, and the chance to fully embrace campy comedy. She even said she'd play Winnie anytime, anywhere, if asked. This shocking revelation makes sense when you watch her perform. She's clearly having the time of her life. It also explains why fans consider her performance the heart of the film. Midler wasn't just acting, she was creating a character so iconic it became her personal favorite. There's a shocking deleted scene that most fans don't know about. In one early cut of the film, the Sanderson sisters tricked a man into thinking they were ordinary women before draining his life force. The sequence leaned heavily into horror and gave the witches a darker, scarier edge. But Disney decided it was too intense for a family movie and cut it from the final version. Only bits of it survive in early drafts of the script and production notes. While some fans wish they could see a darker Hocus Pocus, others agree it might have scared younger viewers too much. Here's a surprising tidbit. Gary Marshall and his sister Penny Marshall appear in Hocus Pocus as the devil couple that briefly spooks the kids. Most viewers completely miss it because they're in the background, but this little Easter egg shocked fans once discovered. Gary Marshall, a legendary director and producer, and Penny, known for her iconic acting and directing, were both on set as a nod to their Hollywood influence. Their cameo adds an extra layer of quirky fun to the movie, and it's a subtle inside joke for eagle-eyed viewers. Imagine the cast discovering famous filmmakers lurking behind tombstones. It's a small detail, but one that shows how layered and playful the production truly was. The graveyard in Hocus Pocus looks eerie and authentic, but shockingly, it wasn't a real cemetery. Disney built the entire set from scratch on a soundstage, including realistic tombstones, fog effects, and twisted tree props. This allowed filmmakers to control lighting, fog, and camera angles perfectly. Fans often assumed they were filming in an actual historic graveyard, which speaks to the incredible craftsmanship of the crew. The level of detail fooled audiences, making the set feel haunted and timeless. Behind the scenes, it was meticulously planned and rehearsed. This fact proves one of the film's biggest illusions. What looks real on screen can be entirely manufactured, yet still capture the magic of Salem. Shocking as it sounds, Hocus Pocus was nearly forgotten after its theatrical release. The movie sold only modestly on VHS in the 90s, barely making a ripple. Its true rise to fame came from annual TV broadcasts, especially Disney Channel, and later Freeform's 31 Nights of Halloween. Each Halloween season, more families discovered the witches, Max, Danny, and Binks, turning the movie into a cultural phenomenon. It's amazing to think that a theatrical flop became a cult classic thanks entirely to cable TV and home video. This fact proves that sometimes longevity isn't about opening weekend, it's about staying in the rotation and letting new generations fall under the spell. Here's the most shocking fact of all. In recent years, Hocus Pocus draws massive viewership numbers on Freeform during October. In 2018 alone, over 8 million people watched the film in just 1 week, surpassing its entire box office gross from 1993. The Sanderson sisters have become cultural icons, inspiring costumes, merchandise, and Halloween events nationwide. What's incredible is how a movie that started as a critical and commercial failure transformed into a yearly ritual for millions. It proves the power of nostalgia, seasonal tradition, and the magic of Disney marketing. The film's legacy continues to grow, and every October, it casts its spell anew on fans old and new. And there you have it, 20 shocking facts about Hocus Pocus. Which fact blew your mind the most? Comment below, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss more spooky deep dives.